Welcome back. This is Watching Nonsense Unfold, and this is my structured review of Wonder Man Season 1. Wonder Man is an MCU project I didn't expect much from, and I was surprised. Going into this series, my expectations were a little cautious. I'm someone who genuinely enjoyed most of the MCU from Iron Man through to Endgame, but I'm also very aware that Marvel television has been somewhat inconsistent. Wonder Man is also my first Marvel Disney Plus series, so this was very much a clean slate for me. What I got wasn't what I expected, for better and for worse. Okay, the setup. Wonder Man tells the story of Simon Williams, a struggling actor who also happens to have superhuman abilities. Rather than leaning into action-adventure, the show frames itself as a satire of Hollywood. Auditions, self-tapes, callbacks, egos, compromises and illusions of success. At its core, it's a character-driven story about two men, Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery, chasing similar dreams and forming an unlikely friendship. What works? The biggest strength of this series is chemistry. Kingsley and Abdul Mateen II work extremely well together. Their scenes feel natural, lived in, and often genuinely funny. The satire itself mostly lands. If you've ever paid even slight attention to how the entertainment industry works, a lot of this will feel uncomfortably familiar. There's also a clear confidence in the writing. This show knows exactly what it wants to be. The core problem. The core problem is simple. This is a superhero series that frequently forgets it's a superhero series. Simon Williams has super strength, durability, and abilities that should fundamentally change the stakes of the story. But for long stretches, those powers are barely relevant. Instead, we get extended dialogue scenes, banter, and slow burn character work, which would be fine if the pacing supported it. Now for the characters. Simon Williams is intentionally frustrating, insecure, self-sabotaging, and emotionally volatile. That's clearly by design. Trevor Slattery, on the other hand, is effortlessly watchable. Ben Kingsley brings humour, warmth, and just enough ambiguity to keep things interesting. Most of the supporting cast exists primarily to serve the satire. They're functional rather than memorable, which isn't necessarily a flaw, but it is noticeable. The plot and story logic. The overarching plot is fairly straightforward, but the delivery is very sluggish. Key moments, particularly those involving Simon's powers, are delayed far too long. There are also several instances of characters making obviously poor decisions purely to move the plot forward. Those moments pulled me out of the story more than once. As for the dialogue is sharp. This is where the writers are clearly most comfortable. There are some genuinely funny lines, solid banter, and moments of self-awareness, especially from Trevor. The problem isn't the quality of the dialogue, I want to be clear about that. It's the quantity. Far too much talking heads, not enough doing. Redeeming element. What ultimately kept me watching was understanding the intent behind the show. Once it clicked that this was never meant to be a traditional MCU action series, but rather a character study wrapped in satire, things did improve. That realisation doesn't fix the pacing, but it does reframe it. The bigger issue. This series highlights a larger Marvel problem, genre confusion. Marvel seems torn between deconstructing superheroes and actually letting them be superheroes. Wonder Man sits uncomfortably between those two ideas. Season 1 feels like groundwork, not a payoff. Verdict. My thoughts on this opening season. I know some people won't like the show because of how Wonder Man's background has been changed. It deviates away from the source material quite a bit. In the comics, Simon Williams is a white industrialist, the wealthy son of Sanford Williams, running a company in direct competition with Tony Stark. In this MCU series, he's reimagined as a black man from a working class background, with the focus placed on his life as an actor. Now, changes like that can matter to me, and in future reviews, if those changes undermine the story or the characters, I'll call it out, but in this case, it didn't bother me. I had no prior attachment to the character, and what mattered here was whether the story worked, and for me, it mostly did, sort of. I didn't bail, and that matters, it matters a lot. There's strong acting, solid writing, and a clear creative vision, but the pacing issues are impossible to ignore. This is a show that asks a lot of patience from the viewer. If Season 2 leans more into the action and adventure roots of Wonder Man, while keeping the character work intact, this could genuinely turn into something special. For now, Wonder Man Season 1 is an interesting, frustrating, slow burn experiment. This has been Watching Nonsense Unfold. Sometimes it really is nonsense, and sometimes it's just disappointing. Or is it?